So I know everybody didn't jump on the call to hear my voice. So we're at that point. Ladies and gentlemen, this gentleman is coming on the call. He's one of the top people in the company, first of all. He's a regional marketing director in the concept, right? And for those who don't know, that means he's built a team of at least 900 people, 3 different lines of lanes with at least 300. And I guarantee you it's a lot more than that. This guy is somewhere that's impacting thousands, hundreds of thousands of lives as far as this idea is concerned. I've heard him train and talk on various calls, and I've never not been impressed or got a lot of value for it. So I want everybody to get your pens out, get your paper out, get your mind right, pay attention, and give it up for our good friend, Regional Marketing Director, 100K LT earner, Mr. Jerrell Dinkins.
Dude, can you hear me?
I can hear, I can see you, brother.
I'm glad you guys can see me because I didn't make it home. I had to stop at a family member's house so I could make sure I jump on this call.
We appreciate you for doing that.
All day, baby. So with that being said, I want to thank you, first of all, for inviting me on. I know it's been a process, but, I truly appreciate it. And I thank you for giving me this platform. And man, that was awesome. I'm listening to yours. I'm trying to take notes. And then I realized you were welcoming me on to the call. So definitely thank you. I appreciate you. But anyway, guys, I would definitely love to give you a little bit about myself. Before I go ahead and talk about what I am going to talk about. So you guys are a little familiar with me. My name is Jerrell Dinkins. I am 34 years old. I am born and raised in the Bronx in New York City. I grew up in the projects. I grew up in a rough neighborhood. And the only thing I've ever been exposed to was negativity. In fact, in my neighborhood, it was more applauded to do bad than it was to do good. If you were doing wrong, you were the man, but if you wasn't, if you were on the right track, then they looked at you like, you were the outcast. So it's a hard place to get out because people are always trying to keep you in. But I always knew and was always informed that in order to get out of my surroundings, to change my situation, that I had to go to school. So that was my first way out. I ended up playing basketball, getting a Division I scholarship to go play basketball for a college in Maryland. And went there for 4 years, ended up moving back to New York City, where I started working 2 jobs. I was working for a company called ACS, basically doing social work, working with abused and neglected children. I worked at the YMCA part-time. I did those 2 jobs for about 7 years straight. With doing that, most people looked at me like I was successful. My family looked at me like I was doing good. My friends, everybody said, he was the one who made it. And meanwhile, I'm confused because I'm over here still living check to check. Which most people don't know, even in World Ventures, is that a few months, I wouldn't even say a few months, I think a few weeks prior to joining World Ventures, I started searching for something else, okay? I was contacting a lot of my friends on Facebook, people that I went to high school with, and I'm going into their DMs and I'm asking them questions like, hey, what do you do for work? Is there room for growth? Do you have the hookup? Could you get me a job? Because in my mind, I said, what I'm doing is not working. I knew I needed something else, but I've never thought about taking the route of an entrepreneur. I've never heard of network marketing. I've never heard of World Ventures, but I was in the process of searching. So for some people, when you hear that they say, it's timing, for a lot of people, it is, this literally came into my life at a time when I was searching for something else. I was literally asking people what I could do to, advance in my life. And 6 years ago, one of my friends shared this information with me. He wasn't even one of the friends that I reached out to. It was just another friend randomly reached out to me, invited me to a presentation. I saw the information. Although I was still nervous, I was a little unsure. I decided to get started the day I actually saw the information. And now, fast forward 6 years, it's been phenomenal. I've been able to take well over 70 vacations around the world. I've been traveling and doing things I've never imagined doing, like a boy from the projects. I would never think that I would be the person doing the shark dive in Dubai, or playing with tigers in Thailand, or riding elephants, or jumping off of yachts in Fiji. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is not stuff that we talked about in my neighborhood. The company gives me $1,000 a month to drive a CLS 550, a white, Mercedes Benz. So, I love my car. It's a car I always wanted. It was one of my dream cars. And more important than any of that stuff, guys, which is the most important thing to me, is that I built the income large enough to walk away from my job 4 years ago. So I'm 34 years old now, but at the age of 30, I was able to walk away from my jobs and have complete time freedom for my family. You know, if anybody follows me on Instagram, you know, I spend a lot of time with my family. Always with my daughter. You know, she's like my best friend. I take her to school. I take her to dance practice, and we're hanging out. And I'm usually with my family on Sundays, you know, playing games. I like to play Monopoly or some dominoes or some Scrabble. So if any of y'all ever see me, y'all want to play some games, I'm the one, right? But the whole point is, you know, I get to spend a lot of time with my family. Just had a newborn, and I was able to make every single doctor's appointment. You know, I'm at every single appointment. I'm there every night. When he's crying at night, I'm there. When he gets up in the morning, I'm there. And that, for me, is the biggest blessing that this company will ever give you, is that peace of mind that you'll have, knowing that you create your life based on the schedule that you want, not based on the schedule that somebody else gives you, right? And that gives you like total peace when, you know, people walk around and like, man, this guy's never upset, or he's never angry, or he's never sad. It's because I get to control my life, and it's only getting better. I'm not even where I want to be at, but at this point of my life, I can control my life based on what I want to do whenever I want to do it. So, you know, being a regional marketing director and getting to that level, you know, marketing director, regional marketing director, and above, these levels give you a chance to get that that freedom, you know, that freedom of time, which you would find. I know a lot of people, we in search of money, but I'm telling you, the freedom of time that comes with the financial freedom is very important. So that is my story. All right. I don't know if Dewey, did you want me to do anything specific, or you want me to just go ahead?
Just do your thing, babe.
All right, cool, perfect. So yeah, what I'm going to talk to you guys about today, all right? And here's what I know. A lot of times we go to trainings, or we hear these phone calls and these webinars, and a lot of people talk about different things with the company. We talk about belief, like what Dewey was talking about. We talk about the different obstacles that you're going to face. We talk about objections. We talk about inviting. We talk about promotion. We talk about a lot of things. And it's weird that the thing that we do most, we rarely teach about. So I'm going to talk about the presentation, like giving the actual presentation, because what are we doing in order to build our team? We're giving presentations, or we're sharing the information, whether it's, you know, you're coming to a travel party, or maybe you're doing a one-on-one or two-on-one, or maybe you're doing a webinar. You know, every time you're actually giving a presentation, unless you're showing a video, and even the video is giving a presentation. Now, out here in New York, I know some of you guys have, some of you guys on the webinar have actually heard me do a presentation. Some of you guys have never, or maybe you've jumped on one of the webinars, I'm not sure. But a lot of people always say, man, I love how you do your presentations. Or I get these people that's on my team, and they don't even want to share the information with somebody unless I'm doing a presentation. But you guys know how that is. When you get started, when you see somebody, like, they're the best person until you see somebody else. And you know that there's other people that are great as well. But people always are commending me on my presentation. And I feel like, yeah, my presentation is cool, but it's the same presentation that everyone else has. It's just my approach to the presentation. So I think if people understand my approach to the presentation, you could do the same exact thing. You can have the same exact results, or even better. So I want to give you my approach on how I enter a presentation or exposure. All right. So first thing, I'm going to relate this to basketball, because I'm a basketball player, right? Dewey mentioned basketball too. So I play basketball, and it's easier for me to relay this message through the game of basketball. So I played Division I basketball, and before every game, let's say a few days before every game, you know, every match that we had, we would have to do something called scout team. Okay, so all scout team means is it's a time where we are going to prepare for the team that we're playing, meaning we're going to study their every move. So we do that by looking at different tapes of their games that they played previously to playing our team. So in watching those tapes and watching the games that they played, we notice different things about those teams. So we notice the plays that they like to run. We notice who's the best players. We know who's the best offensive players, meaning the people who score the most. We learn who's the best defensive players, the people who stop people from scoring. We learn people characteristics. We learn their abilities and their inabilities. So if we know, let's say if I know certain plays that they're going to do in a game, then it's easier for my team to stop it, because we kind of know where everybody's going. We know where everybody's going to be on the floor. We know who likes to dribble. We know who likes to shoot. We know who likes to pass. So if we know that, it's easier for us to stop them. right? I hope you guys are following along so far. So if I took that same approach and applied it to World Ventures and applied it to my business, in my mind, all I have to do is play scout team with the people that I'm going against. And I'm going against all the prospects or anybody that I'm presenting to. So what I want to do is study my opponent, okay? So what do I know about my opponents, right? And this is what makes it so easy for me to handle objections and to cast vision in these presentations and to get, high closing rates. I do get to sign up a lot of people at a lot of presentations that I do. Is because going in, I already expect what's going to happen. I already know. So what do we know, right? What do we know about the people that we're going to be presenting to? They say the same things, okay? Usually at the end of a presentation, they say, what? I don't have enough money, right? I don't have the time. Right? These are objections. I'm pretty sure you heard these things. All this, I wish you guys I could hear some of you guys' responses like, what else they say? I have to speak to my spouse or other things that they're thinking. I know when I go to do presentations, a lot of times in New York City or wherever I go, and I'm pretty sure the same thing in Jamaica, same thing in the UK, they're thinking, well, I've done this before, right? Let me open the chat so I can actually see some of you guys, right? I've done this before. I know some things that they're thinking too. So going in, I know they're already thinking, is this a pyramid scheme? Right? Oh, this is one of those network marketing things. I'm not a salesperson, right? Oh, I've done this before and it didn't work for me. So what else? It sounds like a scam. See, those are the ones that I love. I love the ones that I got to ask my parents. So I got to get permission from somebody. Okay, what else? I like this, right? It's a Ponzi scheme, right? That's cool. I didn't know how to spell Ponzi. Thank you. Right? I don't know no one. It's not for me. So all these things, right? And I'm glad you guys are writing. And I want you guys to keep on writing those in, because the more ammunition you give somebody, the more prepared they can become. Because now if I'm seeing these things are objections or excuses that people have gotten, then I know that I can expect those things. So now I can prepare for it, right? So let me stop it right there. You guys can feel free, you can keep on writing them in, but let me go forward with this, right? So if I know these things, then I know how to approach the situation. Now you could do one of two things. You could either wait for them to give you those objections, or you can handle the objections before they even mention it to you, right? And that's the kind of person I am. I like to handle it before it even comes my way. So by the time I finish exposing you, you're almost afraid to give me an objection. Like, you'll sound weird telling me one of those excuses because I've already handled it throughout the process, right? So here's what I mean, right? I want to go through how I actually start a presentation. So I'm going to, actually, let me break it down for you guys. So a presentation, I divide it into like 5 different stages. So if you guys, for the greens, the people who like to write, 5 different steps, okay? So the first part of that is the opening, okay? First part, so just write number 1, the opening. Now, if you're new, you don't have to make this, you don't have to do what I do. So understand that this is just what I do. If you're new, the opening, I would just give a 3-step setup, okay? A 3-step setup. Your 3-step setup, you can definitely look that up. It's on our app. If you have the Dream Trips app, you go to Rep Tools and look up something called 3-step setup. And that's basically when you tell a person why you're doing this. It's a big deal and you're all in. And then you just take away from them. You just basically tell them, whether you do this or not, I'm still going to go do it. It's not going to be a problem if you tell me no, or if you tell me yes. Either way, it doesn't matter to me. Okay, so that is your 3-step setup. So if you're opening your presentation, you don't want to just pop up and just start sharing the information. You definitely want to say something. There's some things that you want to say before you actually give the presentation. So never just show up and say, all right, watch this. Okay, you want to set it up because people will buy why you do this more than they'll buy what you're actually doing, okay? So you always want to explain to them why you're doing this. Now, for me, when I start, I do give my opening, I give my 3-step setup, but I also, I cancel the elephant in the room, right? I'm gonna pull it out because I already know what you're thinking. So let me just give you a run through how I go through mine. So I'll come in and I'll say, hey, my name is Jerrell Dinkins. I'm 34 years old. Basically the same thing I just shared with you guys. I even gave you my 3-step before I started. I tell them my background. I grew up in the projects. I grew up in a rough neighborhood. I was told to go to school. I did that. I was working 2 jobs, working for ACS, Also worked at the YMCA. I did those 2 jobs for 7 years straight. And I still ended up check to check. Okay, my family looked at me as successful, but I was still broke. All right, a good friend of mine brought this information to me 6 years ago. Although I had no experience, I took a chance with it. Okay, when I was invited to the presentation, okay, I didn't know I was going to a presentation. He actually told me I was going to a gathering. All right, and when I showed up, I realized there was a guy in front of the room holding a clicker, and immediately I realized I was invited to one of those network marketing thingies. Okay, and I actually say that in my presentation. I realized I was invited to one of those network marketing thingies. Why I say it that way? Because I know that that's exactly what they're thinking, right? It's one of those network marketing things. It's one of those things. And I say I had no education in regards to network marketing, but I heard about it. But everything I heard in regards to network marketing was always negative. Like, I've never heard the positive side, all right? The only reason I decided to stay was because that was my friend and I trusted him. So I'm telling the people what I want them to do. Like, yeah, you might think it's one of these network marketing things, but that is your friend. You know him and you trust him, so maybe you need to stay. So I'm telling them exactly what I'm doing. So I say I knew my friend, I trusted him, so I decided to stay and watch. Now, as I watched this presentation, everything that they spoke about was completely opposite of the things that I learned my entire life growing up. Now, if I'm doing a presentation for a big, for a nice little crowd, I usually do a call and response. So I'll say, here's the things I learned growing up. I learned go to school, get good grades, and get a good. And if you guys can finish this, go ahead. You finish my sentences, right? Go to school, get good grades, and get a good. Money don't grow on. Good things come to those that. Watch out for those get rich quick. That sounds too good to be. And I'm pretty sure all of y'all finishing all of these sentences, right? And it's crazy because these are universal, and it just starts to see. It starts for the people that are in the crowd. They start looking around like, wow, like it's crazy how we all come from different areas, different backgrounds. We don't know each other, but we have the same stuff instilled in us, right? And it just shows you that people think and act the same, right? So I tell them, like, this is how our society is, where 98% of our population, they end up dead broke, or dependent on the government by the age of 65, while 2% of our population end up financially fit or financially free. So I didn't know what it took to become a part of the 2%ers. I just know I didn't want to be like everybody else. I didn't want to be a 98%er. So I got excited about the information. So you see how I'm going. This is everything that I'm telling you guys is how I open my presentation, because what I'm doing is I'm getting the mindset ready. And here's why. I want to tell you why I do that. I know that if a person pays attention to our presentation, it's rare, like 99% of people would say yes. Most of the times people say no is because in their mind, they're thinking of all the excuses they can give you to get out of the presentation, or what can they say, or how can they fake a phone call so they can walk out of the presentation, or what excuse they're going to tell you at the end, because in their mind, they think they know what it is, so they're not going to pay attention. In their mind, they already made it up that they want to tell you no. So they're not focused on the information, but if they actually paid attention, they would really love it. So my goal is to cancel out all the things that's corrupting your mind at the beginning, so you could at least take an honest look. Because I know if you take an honest look, you're going to love what we have to say. You're going to love what we're sharing with you. And return, we're going to get a yes, and we're going to get a sign up, because all we did was give you a clear mind. You guys, I know you guys heard the saying, the mind works best like a parachute when it's open, right? So all I want to do is open their minds to just giving me an honest look. That's it. All right. So now what I do is I transition and I give them what happens. And now I start to play like the little psychic, because like I said, once again, I did scout team. I already know what's going to happen. I know what happens when you leave the presentation. I know that you're going to go talk to people. I know that you're going to get opinions. I know that you're going to go talk to your broke friend or your spouse who's not living the life that you want to live, but you're going to speak to them because that's your companion. Like, I know that. And being that I know that, I'm going to address it up front so you don't go ahead and make that mistake. So I tell them straight up, here's what happens in regards to these situations. Most times people come to these presentations, to these webinars, to our live events, right? They watch the information, they love it, but then they leave and they go talk to the people that they know and trust the most, right? The people that are most successful in their life. The only problem with that is the people that are most successful in your life are also the most uneducated people in regards to network marketing. So in a lot of cases, people just end up taking advice from the wrong person. right? I'll give you an example. I love my mother. I truly value her and I value her opinion, but financially, she's never done anything significant, right? So if my mother was to say, hey, you shouldn't do those things or those things don't work, but I have a person like, give me somebody, Richard Branson or whoever, right? A successful person saying, hey, you should do network marketing. We endorse network marketing. Network marketing works. And these are millionaires, multi-millionaires saying we should do it. Should I listen to my mom's because I love her, or should I listen to the person who's successful saying, hey, you should do it, right? So it's just common sense. The only thing that separates me from anybody else is that I got good at taking opinions from people that I should take opinions from. That's it, right? Most people just take opinions from the wrong people. You take opinions from people because you know them and trust them, not because they have what you want in life, right? And furthermore, I also tell them about opinions. I speak about my mentor, right? I say I have a mentor named Johnny Rimby. He's a multi-millionaire, international motivational speaker, right? He's been mentored by people like Les Brown, by TD Jakes. He's done a lot of things, right? So my mentor told me something that's always stuck out to me. He told me, if you buy somebody's opinion, you buy their lifestyle. Meaning anytime somebody wants to give you their opinion on business, on finance, on wealth, right? Take a look at their lifestyle. If they're not doing the things that you want to do with your life, then why are you listening to them, right? So why would I, so I also say this, right? I just want you guys to kind of understand exactly how I'm going through the presentation. So I tell them what happened to me. I saw the presentation. I got excited about it. But then I went back to my neighborhood, the projects, right? And all of my friends told me, oh, those are scams. Those are pyramid schemes. And I want to use those words because I know you're already thinking about it. And I want you to see that I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not afraid to call it out. So I'm going to let you know right away that my friends told me that these are pyramid schemes and these are scams, because I want them to know that your friends are going to say it too. Don't be alarmed, okay? So you got, on one hand, little cornbread from the projects telling me that this is a pyramid scheme. But then on the other hand, you have people like Warren Buffett, whose net worth is $78 billion, one of the most wealthiest men on the planet, who owns 3 network marketing companies. And I had to ask myself, whose life did I want? Cornbread's? Warren Buffett's, right? Isn't that common sense, right? Common sense says I would follow Warren Buffett. So I'm not paying attention to the opinions of people who do not have what I want, right? So I go through all that and I share, and then I actually start my presentation. I tell them, like, listen, I'm going to share some information with you. And I know you're going to love it, but I shared all of that to share with you is that I want you to make a decision based on what you see and hear, not based on what you heard or what you're going to hear. If you like this, then say yes. But if you don't like it, say no. At least you made a decision based on what you saw and you heard. All right? So that is my approach, okay? That's my approach. That's how I actually start my presentation. And me personally, I'll spend 10 minutes, sometimes not even that long, maybe about 7 or so minutes, 7 to 10 minutes going through that. And then my first half will be about 5 minutes because I'm zooming through it. Because to be honest, I've already cleared it. I've already cleared a lot of the objections. I already cleared the elephant in the room. Now they can focus on it. And now that they actually pay attention to the information, it's going to go like this, because what we have is simple. It's very simple. This is fun, travel, and money. You get to travel at a lower price, and if you want to make money, you can share that travel at a lower price. That's our whole presentation, right? It's like, this is very simple. For a person that, for the people who say they don't understand it, guys, everybody understands this. This is not something that you can't understand. Like, anybody could understand this. It's travel, and if you want to make money, you share the travel. Like, that's all it is, right? It's not rocket science. So, right, part 1, that's my opening. That's my whole thing is that opening, okay? Number 2 is your first half, okay? The first half is our travel product, okay? Travel product is this, I go through the presentation. Now, here's the thing I'll give you. You guys can do whatever you want. I'm just giving you some advice from my opinion. You go through some of the trips. I know that you probably heard this, facts tell, but stories sell, right? So I go through my presentation, and I don't say every detail on every trip. I go through trips, say, hey, we have trips here, we have trips to Jamaica, we have trips to DR, and I give a few of the little details, but any chance I get, I share a story. So maybe if I've been to Dubai and I get to a Dubai slide, instead of me saying what's on the actual slide, I'm just going to give a story about me being in Dubai, right? So if you have those stories, implement them into your presentation. If you're talking about Mexico trip, if you came to a team trip in Jamaica, or you came to a team trip in Mexico, or you was at DR, or you've been to New Orleans, whatever it is, when you get to that slide, instead of saying what's on the slide, people like to hear stories. Tell them about your experiences, okay? And go through the product. Simple information, okay? Number 3, the third part is your transition from travel to the business, right? So that's number 3. So I'm trying to cater to my greens too, so you guys know, right? I'm working on my colors, right? So it's the transition. So now you're just basically letting them know that you're gonna move from the travel portion and now talk about the business. Let me see if I can find my slides. I'm gonna have them somewhere. Okay, here it goes. All right. 1 second, guys. Okay, here it goes. Right. So I don't even know if should I share my, can I share my screen with everybody?
Yes, you can.
I can? Okay,
yes.
hold on. Let me see something. I don't want to mess this up. I feel like I already lost you guys on the screen. Okay. All right, here you go. Share screen. Guys, you do not have to be a tech master to do this. You see what I'm saying? So you guys can see my screen now, right? Yep. Okay. All right, good. All right, perfect. So talking about transition, right? So this is part 3, where you transition from the travel to the business. So up front, I just let them know, like, hey guys, listen, I'm about to start talking about the business. I'm going to talk about how we actually earn income doing this. Now, if you just want to do the first part, you can just do the travel. You do not have to do the business part. This part is completely optional. But even though I'm telling you it's optional, it didn't feel so optional for me, because the day I took a look at this, I have a college degree. I'm working 2 good jobs, but I'm still broke. All right. I understand that what I've done for the last 7 years got me to that exact moment. And I knew if I did it for another 7 years, that nothing would change for me. Right. I knew that. So although I had no experience doing network marketing, I've never heard of the company. I didn't even expect to see this information. I came here to have some drinks and hang out. Right. I said, I would be a fool if I had prayed for something. God delivered the blessing, but then I turned it away. So I was willing to take a chance with this. Now, most people will not take a chance with this because of different reasons. Oh, you don't like sales, or you've heard of network marketing, or it's just fear. You let fear stop you. But if you don't understand that we live in a world that's constantly changing, right? The things that made us successful in the past, like go to school, get good grades, and get a good job, is not enough for a person to become successful today, right? So if you don't adapt, you're going to get left behind anyway, okay? And here's why I'm saying all of this stuff, guys. I'm being relatable to the people. I want them to understand that I was just like them, because I know I'm making Me Too statements. There's statements in there like, I went to school, I got, good grades, I got a good job. I know some of them done that. I'm working 2 jobs. I know some people work 2 jobs. I'm still living check to check. I know some of those people that are working those jobs are still living check to check. So I'm just relating to people the whole time. So now, as they're going through the presentation, I'm canceling objections, and all the time, as they're watching it in their head, they're like, all right, me too, me too, me too. And now they're starting to think, well, how did you get out? Well, how did you do it? Like, how did you transform? Like, they want to know what's next now. So they went from not wanting to be in the room to being eager to know what's next or how we did it, right? So all I'm doing is I'm literally guiding their mind through my presentation. And I'm really attacking that because I want to guide your mind direct. I'm telling your mind what to focus on and how to focus. So when I close, I've already made a decision for you. Like, you can't even say no because I made the decision for you in your mind. I created it for you. All right. So I go through that, and then I show them, I say, listen, I did it. I went to school, I got good grades, and then I came home and I got that job, right? That one source of income. And we always talk about a job, but no matter how good your job is, they never tell you about what comes with the job. right? They never tell you all the things that come with a job, like your debt, healthcare, food, car bills, you know, the child care, clothing, utilities, Murphy. Everybody know Murphy. Everybody know Murphy? Murphy's Law, right? The things you can't expect. The things, you know, the car breaks down. There's the death in the family or emergency that pops up, right? So you got all these different bills and obligations, and you got this one source of income. But what if they take that one source of income away? How do you still afford to pay for everything else? How do you still afford to live your life? And this is the thing that I was faced with. Like this right here, this scared me. And I started to understand that the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. So why did I only have to have one? Why? So I knew I wanted to do something else, but because I've never done business, I just didn't know what. And then I started to pay attention to the things that I was seeing, like platform businesses. Okay, you got people like Mark Zuckerberg, right, who has a platform where people can communicate all around the world. We invite our friends, we invite our networks, right? Mark Zuckerberg doesn't pay us $1, right? Then you have other platform businesses like Uber and Airbnb, who allows us to use our cars and our homes, and we get paid for it because it's our stuff. And chances are we're going to bring more people to the company because we're getting paid, right? It's evolving. These are two other platform businesses that are successful, just like Facebook. But then you have World Ventures, who's also a platform business. We have Travel Club. We don't own any airplanes. We don't own any resorts. But we say, listen, if you bring your network to our travel club, you're going to get paid because it's your network. And because you're getting paid, there's a good chance you're going to continue to bring more of your network to our travel club. We've been doing that for 13 years. Understand this, guys, just like Airbnb, just like Uber, just like Facebook, right? Our platform, if you think that this platform business is not going to work, then you're a fool, all right? And we're in the travel industry. It's the largest industry in the world. So we have the best kind of business, a platform business, and the largest industry in the world. How do you lose with that? Understand this, that one day, you're going to be logging on to take a vacation, do your regular site that you, like, let's say if it's Expedia, and you're going to type in www.expedia.com, and it's going to say rerouting you to dream trips, right? You want to be a part of that now, or you want to be that person that's like, oh my God, I saw that company, right? So that's how I transition. That is all of that. And I want you guys to understand this. My first part, my opening, long, like 10 minutes. The travel part, I go through in 5 minutes. My transition, long, about 7 minutes. The business part, I go through it. It's simple. What are we talking about? You know, 3 left, 3 right, residual income. You know what I'm saying? Like, I go through, I share stories. It's nothing. And then I go to the closing, right? So number 4, just for my people that are actually writing notes, number 4 is the business, all right? It's the business, just sharing what our comp plan is. Now, I do want to say this for you guys, but if what you're doing is working, continue doing that. I don't break down every aspect. I'm not telling you what's a cycle. After you get your first 3, you get this much. When you get your 4th, you get this much. Once you got 3 left, 3 right, you get this much. I don't explain everything in the comp plan because I know when a person is watching this, 98% of the stuff that they see, they don't remember it. They do not remember this during a presentation. We just want to give them enough information to make a $400 decision. Well, in this case right now, $100 decision. You get what I'm saying? So me breaking that stuff down, I'm going to confuse them more than I'm going to educate them. So I don't go through it. I just want you to understand the basics. You know, we get the travel. If you share the travel, you get to earn money. Here's some of our bonuses. You know, you're going to be able to waive your fees. You're going to be able to get a car bonus, and you're going to be able to build some residual income that's long lasting. And then I close. All right. Very simple. So the 5th part. So the 4th part is our business. And then the 5th part and the last part is our close. Okay. So now with closing, I take the time out to talk about some of the, I would say, objections that I know I'm going to get that I didn't address already. So what have we addressed already? So number 1, I've talked about the pyramid scheme. I've talked about going home to speak to somebody, because I said, you know, you're going to go home, speak to the person that you know and trust the most. So I already talked about that, like going to speak to a spouse, getting advice. What else did we talk about? We haven't talked about time yet. We addressed pyramid schemes. We addressed, what else? We addressed the network marketing stigma. We addressed, you know, a few things. So I know I addressed a few things. So now I'm going to take time to address more of these objections. And you can do this in many different ways. I do this in many different ways. I'll give you two of them. So the first one is through stories. Once again, I like to share the story of Ronald Wayne, okay? Because I want to give you a fear of loss. So Ronald Wayne, if you don't know, I'll give it to you in brief. Ronald Wayne invested in a company that he's really excited about many years ago. It's some information that's going to actually change the world, right? And he gets excited about it. He invests in this company. He owns 10% of it. He goes to talk to his people that he knows and trusts the most, and he's excited, and he's explaining what's going on. And they're like, man, you're crazy. You need to go get your money back. Ronald Wayne goes, sells his shares of that company for $800. So you don't know Ronald Wayne, but I'm pretty sure you heard of this company, Apple, right? Had Ronald Wayne kept his investments, he would be worth billions of dollars today. But because he was listening to the wrong people who had no idea about where he was going, he lost out, right? So I also just added this in like 2 days ago, right? And it says it, this is from Wikipedia, right? It's Ronald Wayne is a retired American electronics industry worker. He co-founded Apple Computers with Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs, right? Providing administrative oversight for the new venture. However, he soon sold his shares of the company for $800. As of August 2nd, 2018, if Wayne had kept his 10% stake in Apple, it would have been worth over $100 billion, making him the second richest man in the world, okay? And I want to share that with people because I want them to understand that right now, you're seeing the Apple of travel. You're seeing the biggest thing that the travel industry has ever seen. If you like it and you invest in it, when you go back to your friends and family, if they don't, you have to understand that they're not going to understand you, right? God put a dream and a desire in you for you. It wasn't for anybody else to understand. It was for you to understand, right? So when you go speak to your friends, and they in disbelief, and they start to tell you things like, oh, that's not going to work, or don't do it, or you're crazy. We are the crazy ones. The people who have the life that they want to have and live the life that they want to live are crazy. We're the crazy ones that believe it's possible, and that's why we make things exist, because we believe it's possible, right? So I want you to know that when you leave here, don't pay attention to those guys. Don't pay attention to the negativity, to the people who are telling you not to do this or not to go forward, or you're crazy. You need to go get your money back. Because how many times you guys got the people who come in, they sign up today, they're all excited, and then in the morning they like, hey, I had to rethink everything, and I had to, I got to go call and cancel. Come on, guys. Like we heard about the people say about God, right? And this is true. Like this just happened to me recently. I spoke to God, and God said, this wasn't for me. And I'm like, really? Like this in my head, but I'm not going to, I'm definitely not going to offend somebody, but in my head, God told you, don't help other people travel. Don't do volunteerism trips and go build bottle schools. Help water filtration systems. Don't build basketball courts for inner city youth. Don't help change the financial situation. God told you, no, let them stay broke. Like, don't change the financial. This is what we do. This is what we do. So you get what I'm saying? These are all things that people put in their mind. It's just excuses because they're afraid to take on that challenge. Like, because changing your life is not easy. You know what I mean? So my thing is, I just want to cancel as many of those objections. So one thing I'll do is I'll do this, and then I'll just speak to them. And I speak to them straight from the heart. It's nothing written. I just go off like whatever I just did right now. And then sometimes I'll tell them about my story, about the things that I was feeling. Why? Because I understand that the Jerrell of today, of 2018, being a part of World Venture 6 years, earning well over 6 figures with the company, that Jerrell is not going to relate to the new person watching this today. I want them to know how I felt the day I saw this. So I tell them, listen, I understand, man. The day I saw this, I could remember the day I saw this, and I remember all the things that was going through my mind. The first thing was I didn't have enough money. I didn't have enough money. So, and I understand that some people will look at this and say, I don't have enough money, so I can't do this. I said, I don't have enough money, so I have to do this, because I was tired of being 28 years old, a grown man, a grown ass man, and I couldn't make a $400 decision for something that I wanted to do. Right? That bothered me. And you have to understand this. If you are an adult and you don't have at least $365 in your account, that means you couldn't save $1 a day for the last year, which means whatever system you got going on, it's not working. Right? Whatever plan you're on, that is not working. So you have to get a new plan. In order to change the situation, you got to disrupt the pattern. I knew I had to disrupt the pattern. So although this was a little scary, although I didn't have the money, I took the little bit that I have to open my hands and release it so I could receive bigger blessings. Simple. Second thing that was going through my mind was the time. I was working 2 jobs. I started throwing parties at night. So I didn't know if I had enough time to do this. But I did this in my spare time. I used this to create more time in my life. Now, some people, there's a person in this room or on this webinar, or you may be the person sitting here saying, hey, I don't have enough time to do it. But then you'll go spend 2 hours scrolling on Instagram, 3 hours a day watching your favorite shows, 2 hours a day gossiping to your friends, right? You spend all this time doing all those things. And if you tell me that you don't have enough time to do this, but then you spend your time doing those things, then you deserve whatever outcome you get in life. Point blank, because that's how you choose to spend your time. That's the difference between a successful person and an unsuccessful person. The only difference is how we spend our time. That's it. But here's the real thing. Because I believe that there's no I think time and money, those are excuses. I believe everybody can find time and money because people find time and money for things that they place value in. So if you see value in this, you'll find the time and money. The real reason is that you don't think you can do this. That's it. You don't think you can do this. And that's fair. That's a fair one. But I want you to know that for most of us, it was our first time doing network marketing. When I first started, I didn't think I could do this. In fact, the only question I had at the end of the presentation was, will you do this for me? Because I didn't want to speak. It was my only question. I said, will you come do a presentation for me? Because I don't want to share this information. I don't want to talk. I don't know how to do this. And I'm scared to talk in front of people. So I knew I had help. When you become a part of this, you're going to have help. You're going to have a system of people that's going to help you get to where you go. You will not be in this alone. We will help you. You may not think you can do this, but when you invest in this, you invest in me and you get me. And I know how to do this very well, and I'm going to help you. So I reassure them. And that's how I literally went through it, how I went through my entire presentation. That's all I wanted to do, guys. I want to share with you how I attacked my presentation. I broke it down so it took a little longer. But I'm telling you, if you actually watch it, maybe I'll send out like one of my webinars and you can get on and see how I go through it. It's pretty fast, it's smooth, but it attacks everything. So at the end of the presentation, it's like, well, what else do you have to, what are you going to say? I just broke down every freaking objection, every elephant in the room. So what are you going to tell me at this point? Because I've already handled it all. So now people feel weird even coming to me with an excuse. Like, you have to just be honest with me. Just say, I don't want to do it. And I'll accept that. That's fine with me. But most times people say yes and they actually sign up. So yeah, Dewey, yeah, that's it, man. Unless you got any questions for me, anybody else have any questions for me, that's all I wanted to share, really.